Good to see you.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's just start off by like introducing like who you are and your brand.
Yeah. Well, I'm Tanya Farman with Queen of Hearts Superfoods, and we're based out of Hood River, Oregon. And we produce nutrient-rich artisan cold-pressed hemp seed oil, hemp hearts, and we just are starting to do plant-based dressings because we have this really awesome ingredient in the hemp hearts and the seed oil, and it's a really great base for a lot of other products. So so that's what we produce, and we did it naively a couple years ago. Had no idea that hemp would be such a challenge in the Pacific Northwest. We thought, everyone knows what hemp is, but no, it's not the case. It's kind of interesting. The irony is that we come from this, this region where everybody knows pretty much what cannabis is, but people get really confused with industrial hemp. And being that we were the first and only hemp seed processor, people were even more confused. They wanted to know if they could get high from our hemp hearts, and is there CBD in your oil and the whole thing. So it's a lot of education and kind of trying to educate people on those misunderstandings. So
Yeah, that's interesting. I kind of see that in like CBD, hemp, like all like cannabis. Like there's so much kind of education around that. Like where do you kind of start that process with people about what hemp is versus everything else?
Well, I had no experience with cannabis or even hemp other than the hemp hearts in my pantry before this, which I think I probably would have maybe been enlightened a little bit more to the confusion and misunderstandings. But I came from it from a nutritional standpoint. I just knew these things are really good for me. I need to eat more in my diet. And then, I'd go to events and people would ask these silly questions. And it came down to, we're just doing farmers markets and events and just a lot of one-on-one education, which we still have to do with customers still. And then I would go to events in the Midwest where they never had cannabis legal yet. So it was not recreational. Cannabis was not legal. So their only experience with hemp was as an industrial product. And so they actually had a lot more understanding and buy-in in places like Iowa, Ohio, you'd never guess, than here in Oregon. Go figure. So one thing that we do is my business partner and I, we work really closely with the farmers here in Eastern Oregon. We do have farmers in Eastern Washington as well. That's where hemp grain grows really well. And educating the farmers and really getting their buy-in and really getting them to understand that this isn't weed. This is like, it's like wheat, not weed. And once we got the farmers to buy into it and get them to understand it, which is actually really fun because they're farmers. They don't get caught up in too much of the stigma. They're like, hey, can I grow it? Can I make money off of it? Can it support my family and my community? And that's what it came down to. So we're still doing that.
Yes.
Yeah.
We'll come back to the farmer side of things, but going back to kind of the nutrition side, I just kind of read a little bit about your background, like the project, was it Koru? Like how this all came about. So it's almost like, can you tell a little bit about that? Like how you got started with that project and then how that kind of led into Queen of Hearts?
Yeah. Well, I came from a world of cancer survivorship. I started a nonprofit about 13 years ago to help young adults get their lives back after cancer. And that came from a personal experience with cancer. And after doing that for so long, we ran these camps that were really post-survivorships or post-treatment camps. And what I kept seeing and hearing was just a lot of just toxicity, not just in diet, but how Western medicine takes care of our sick, and whether it's something like COVID or something like cancer, we just throw drugs at it rather than looking at it as how can we prevent this. And I got really frustrated. I mean, I couldn't solve the problem that I was trying to solve. And what I did see is that we would have these amazing chefs come to our camp and just roll out these incredible plant-based meals, and so nutrient dense and so wonderful. And it truly just was this uplifting experience for the survivors that it was just like a light bulb for me. I was just like, we need to focus on food. And that was kind of, that was one side of it. The other side was my family was in agriculture many years ago, and they helped support farmers to grow cucumbers. And I never had that connection with my land before. And I all of a sudden just kind of getting into hemp, I really wanted that. I wanted a connection to my food. I wanted to know the whole story. I wanted to learn every aspect of it, of the supply chain. And so that's how I got into hemp, because hemp really it's one of the most well-balanced plants on the planet for nutrition. So.
Yeah, and I'm going to ask you about that connection to the farmers before we get into your products. So
shoot.
you glossed over it in the story, but we're going to come back to the Pickle King.
Got it. Are we doing that now?
We're doing that now. So talk about your family's like kind of history with farmers and stuff like that in agriculture, because I think it's important as a tie back to, I think, having that conversation with farmers around it's wheat, it's not weed, and having that legacy from an agricultural family is important.
Yeah. The Pacific Northwest used to be, especially up and down the I-5 corridor, all the way, Willamette Valley, all the way up to Mount Vernon in northern Washington, in the Skagit Valley, was ripe with cucumber farmers. And it's coming back. We just have a really wonderful environment here for growing cucumbers. But yeah, so my family had a pickle company, and my great uncle and my grandpa, they were based in Kent, and they had friends who were all farmers and said, hey, would you guys grow some cucumbers for us? And we want to make pickles. I mean, this is crazy. But that's what they did. They started basically making pickles after my grandpa played football in the NFL and came back, didn't know what to do with himself. And they made pickles for friends and markets. And so, yeah, the cucumbers were big in the Northwest. And they didn't grow. They weren't farmers. They were a processor, and they were very true to that. And we wanted to support, I say they, we as in they, wanted to support the farmers to grow. And then they would bring in the cucumbers, different varieties for different products, and pack pickles. And that pickle plant, the first one was in Enumclaw, and then it was in Tacoma, and then it was back in Enumclaw. And eventually the company, unfortunately, was sold to a couple other larger food brands. And that the company that now owns it also purchased Seinfeld's and Nally's eventually. So 3 big Northwest pickle brands that were small, that grew, gradually. And we all played really well and nicely together. It was great. Everybody got their cucumbers from the same farmers. It was fantastic. Well, here's a story a lot of people don't know, is about a month before harvest in 90, someone's going to call me out on this, but I want to say it was 97. That company out of Columbus, Ohio, broke contract with all the farmers and moved all production and processing to India. And that, to this day, is like, my dad can't even talk about it. It's like crushing. And that, it just gives me like, it's like bad juju when I even think about it. But, and that really was hard. That settled hard. That wiped out the cucumber region here for commercial cucumber and pickle growing for, I mean, years until we started seeing a lot of these small artisan craft brands, and which is awesome. But yeah, it's that was pretty crushing. So when I looked into doing hemp, I wanted to carry on a little bit of that legacy of working with farmers and supporting local agriculture. And my grandpa was the pickle king, and I felt like it was time for a queen.
That was a setup. I love it. I love it.
Here. I even printed out there he is right there. That's him. And let's see. I don't know. Oh, here's the queen. I don't know. Kind of like a little bit of a, she's kind of fun and feisty and strong. So yeah, kind of wanted something similar.
I love it. Well, let's talk about a few of your products. The hemp seed oil. Let's start with that one. Tell us a little about it.
Well, I'm drinking some right here. This is hemp seed oil. It is made from hemp seeds. Let's see if we can show you. They're going to drop. There's some hemp seeds for you. We take the hemp seeds, raw grain. Hemp seeds considered a grain. And we put it through a hopper, and it's expeller press, just like olive oil. We really look for, we work really closely with the farmers, but we're looking for a nutty variety that is, we crush our seeds before we press for production. And it's kind of fun. I love tasting the oils and looking for real nutty, buttery oil. And that all comes from the variety from the hemp seed. So a lot of people think you can just take some hemp seeds that you grew from, growing CBD or whatever, and throw them in a press, and it would taste really dirty. I've had some people send me some really dirty oil. That's not something you want to put on your salad or your, as a bread dipping oil or a soup dipping oil. But yeah, so we do the hemp seed oil is we do it in 250 ml bottles and then a 500 bottle. And this is a 3-pack, which is on the Built Oregon site. And then we have a 500 ml bottle, and then we even sell it by the gallon. But yeah, it's just packed with omega fatty acids. So it's got your anti-inflammatory omega fatty acids, which specifically, not to really nerd out, but it's got your omega-6 gamma-linoleic acid, which is known to have really supportive qualities for gut health, heart health, brain and cognitive health. And I even have naturopaths that kind of prescribe it to their patients. So that's really cool. And it's so good for you. It's a superfood. So there's that. And then our hemp hearts, these guys, this is just easy, right? So the hemp hearts are easy to sprinkle on anything, everything from salads, breakfast, oatmeal, we make your own hemp milk, which I'll get to. It's one of the products we're selling. And it's easy, just a couple tablespoons, just throw it on everything. I'll do like a seared ahi tuna rolled instead of sesame seeds, you roll it in hemp hearts and then you sear it with the hemp hearts, and it's just got this really like toasty flavor. So good. So you can pretty much do anything with hemp hearts, and it just adds a boost of, it just has such a great profile. It has your protein, full protein, amino acids, fiber, magnesium, manganese, copper. It's got the whole gamut. And I think that's why it's an expensive seed. We only work with Northwest farmers, and this is a seed that's been coming from Canada for over 20 years. So they've got some years on us, and we're trying to build the supply chain slowly, but it's a slow effort and trying to get our costs down, but it's hard. That's why hemp seeds in Costco, I mean, you can get like 2 pounds for like $13. Like, we can't even sell, a 12 ounce of ours will be about that price, but you're going to get the freshest ones, I guarantee you.
And as far as kind of like the flavor profile,
yeah,
you said like it replaces sesame seeds or whatever on the ahi, which sounds delicious. Like, can you describe a little bit about that too?
Yeah. So it's creamy and nutty. So it's kind of like the texture of a sesame seed. It's actually soft because it's really the heart. It's the inside of the hemp seed. So it's the oily seed, the oily part of the hemp seed. So yeah, it's soft, nutty. I even would describe, like, if you're even tasting the oil, it's buttery. A really good hemp seed should have almost add a buttery flavor to whatever it is that you're eating. And there's hemp seeds out there that come stale in bags. Like, I admit, like, I think a lot of people are expecting it to taste like dirt. And they should be really fresh, chewy, and tasty. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the hemp milk.
Oh yeah. The hemp milk. Yeah. Hemp milk is great. I mean, we're not selling the hemp milk on the actual marketplace, but we've got a kit for you all. And my little kit's not nearly as fun as Jamie's, I gotta say, with all the fun little sayings, but we do have yeah, I mean, I kind of want to I almost want to like collaborate with her on hemp seed oil for her beard oil, because it's actually really good. Hemp seed oil is fantastic for skin, by the way. Really good for skin. Yeah, so the hemp milk kit comes with a 1/4 cup of hemp hearts with this cute little 16-ounce bottle. And then we collaborated with the awesome people, Jacobs and Sea Salt and Glory Be Honey. So it's a whole Oregon kit, all with Oregon products to make your hemp milk. You get 4 little sticks of honey, and then you get an extra bag of hemp hearts for your second bottle of hemp milk. And then we throw in there a nut milk bag if you want to strain it. Straining is not necessary. Just like it, if you're going to feed it to babies, it might be, but it makes it richer and creamier. And you just put it on, you can drink it straight. I put actually raw cacao in there and make it like an adult chocolate milk. That's really good. Locally, we have a chai milk, so it's, you can kind of throw anything in there. So, yeah, it's fun to make. It's easy. You don't have to soak the nuts or the seeds. So you just basically throw them right in the water, and it's, throw it in Vitamix and hemp hearts, dash of salt and water. So that's the hemp milk.
Sounds like the perfect quarantine project to do with kids and other things.
Yeah.
Other people.
100%. So easy and great for boosting your immune system to stave off these silly viruses.
Craziness. Last question is kind of like, where do you see this going? I think that, you have like such a great story. The products are great, but you have that tie to agriculture. And so like doing that supply chain seems like it's core to kind of how you want to build this company as well.
Yeah, I mean, that's it has to be. If we don't have the farmers, we have nothing. And I have such a new respect for so much good food since I've been into this, and then throw COVID in there, and then I eat very hyper local now, it seems like. But yeah, I mean, we have to really have a good network of farmers grow for us. That's this time of year, I'm going and talking to farmers and trying to educate them on growing for next year. And it's a really great rotational crop. So we're seeing great yields on other crops when they plant hemp in there. It's great for the soil. It doesn't require a lot of inputs, pesticides. And in the United States, you can only grow it organically with organic pesticides. So that it's a big piece of the story. I really would like to think that I can help change the food system with supporting farmers to grow hemp. So I know it's a big venture. We're trying to get more like other value-added products to, just sprinkle in some hemp seeds in their products. There's a lot of different products and bars and granolas out there that could use our hemp hearts. So to have, a full American or Northwest story, we like to be a part of that.
It's the queen. It's the queen story, right?
I guess so. That's it.
Tanya, thanks so much for being on and chatting.
Yeah.
And thanks so much for printing out the Pickle King before, because I know, because you knew I was going to ask.
Yeah. I'm glad I was prepared for that one.